We are your home theater and AV questions answered. This is AVRant. Want your home theater or AV question answered by Tom and Rob? Send it to question@avrant.com. Welcome to AVRant. I'm Tom Andry, and I'm here with
Rob H.
Bob. Bob has finished upgrading the audio in his theater. The old Polks replaced with EMP Techs. The old Bic acoustic subwoofer replaced with the Outlaw X12, and the old Yamaha replaced with the Denon X4300H, which is not the receiver from last week. It's a newer one. His primary source now is an NVidia Shield, which he uses to watch OT over-the-air TV with an HD home run and Google Live. He watches stuff on Sony VUE and plays MKVs via Kodi, as well as stream Netflix and Amazon. Audio from Kodi sounds fantastic. Netflix sounds pretty cool. And live TV channels sound light and empty with almost no bass. That's far for the course. But the real problem is the Sony VUE, or is Sony VUE. The volume on the VUE is about 10 dB higher than the mid, and the mid bass is way too high, often making male vocals overpowering, especially after turning down the receiver volume to a level to match the other sources. He knows the Denon can adjust levels per input, but since he's really only using a single sound source device, that doesn't help. Can he keep the convenience and speed of using the Shield while achieving balanced audio at the same time?
This is a challenge.
I have no idea.
There's one thought I have, which is that Sony VUE right now is only sending stereo audio. So all that's coming out of there is stereo PCM audio.
Okay.
And I'm guessing at this, but it sounds like Bob might be using the automatic listening mode setting, which means whatever comes in gets played as it is, right? So if 5.1 comes in, gets played as 5.1. If stereo comes in, gets played as stereo.
Right.
That sounds, because his description of having this big mid-bass thing is quite common when it just defaults to the stereo mode. So if that's the case, Bob, there's a couple of things. First of all, the X4300H allows you to set a different setting for a stereo-only setup. There's actually a stereo-only settings menu within the sound setup menus. And you can make some changes there if this is your preferred way of watching, which is, stereo comes in, that's what I use, is the stereo listening
like
mode.
DTS or something. Or
yeah, that is the other one. And maybe he already is, so that might all be moot. But you could use one of the upmixing modes.
Right.
To expand whatever you're watching to make use of all your speakers. Now, doing that isn't going to fix the difference in level, though. The difference in level is kind of what it is.
Yeah.
So other than just turning your master volume down when you watch Sony VUE and turning your master volume back up when you watch the other sources, there's not a whole lot you can do. But that whole mid-bass hump in the Sony VUE, it's quite a common thing that when stereo PCM is coming in and you're using the automatic listening mode, so it switches to the stereo listening mode, very often it does sound overblown, and you can adjust that in that dedicated stereo sound settings that are in the X4300H. So that could be a partial fix, and then it's just riding the volume knob a little bit.
Excuse me. Bill, I would also... Bob. Bill's next. I already scrolled forward. Yep. Bob, I would also suggest maybe a macro, like on a Harmony. I mean, it's not a perfect solution, but every time you turn on the VUE, excuse me, a Sony VUE, I will stop sneezing. I'm allergic to Sony, is the problem.
Right.
You could have it turn the volume down like 10 dB. Now, when you switch inputs again, you'll have to turn it back up manually, but at least it won't be too loud.
There's one other thing you could do, which isn't a great solution, but you could actually turn on Odyssey Dynamic Volume. Not to its highest setting, but just put it on its lowest setting, because that kind of just dynamically compresses everything and evens out the sound. You could. I mean, if this bothers you more, I mean, give it a try, right? There's nothing harming in experimenting. So turn Odyssey Dynamic Volume on, put it to its low, or try all the settings that are there, but put it on its lowest setting and give it a listen, because If that bothers you less than having to ride the volume dial, then there's your solution, right? For some people, it's going to bother them more than riding the volume dial, some people less. So it's worth an experiment anyway. So three things you can try.
Want your question answered? Send it to question@avrant.com. This is AVRant.
Now go out and listen to something.